In the glittering heart of Los Angeles, where the sun-kissed studios pulse with the energy of daytime television dreams, the set of the Kelly Clarkson Show was alive with anticipation on a crisp autumn morning. Kelly Clarkson, the powerhouse vocalist turned empathetic host, had been teasing this exclusive interview for weeks, promising her audience a raw, unfiltered conversation with none other than Sandra Bullock, the timeless beauty whose career spanned rom-coms that melted hearts and thrillers that kept us on the edge of our seats. Sandra, at 61, was no stranger to the spotlight, but this appearance was billed as a homecoming of sorts, a chance to reflect on her latest project, a poignant drama about resilience in the face of personal loss, inspired by her own quiet battles with grief following the passing of her partner Brian Randall. The studio buzzed with crew members adjusting lights that bathed the stage in a warm, inviting glow, while Kelly, dressed in her signature casual chic, a flowing blouse and soft lavender paired with jeans, practiced her opening lines in the mirror, her Texas twang adding a layer of folksy charm. Fans outside the NBC lot held signs proclaiming their undying love for both women, chanting snippets of "Since You've Been Gone," mixed with cheers for "The Blind Side." As Sandra arrived in a sleek black SUV, her signature bob haircut framing a face that spoke volumes of quiet strength, paparazzi flashes lit up the entrance like fireworks. She stepped out in a tailored white blazer over a silk blouse, exuding that effortless elegance that had captivated audiences since her Speed days. Inside, the green room was a sanctuary of fresh flowers and bottled water, where Sandra sipped chamomile tea, flipping through notes on Kelly's recent album drop, determined to keep the vibe light and reciprocal. The interview progressed like a well-rehearsed symphony at first, with Kelly masterfully steering through safer waters, praising Sandra's philanthropy work with the Warren Easton Charter High School and her advocacy for adoption reform, topics that lit up Sandra's eyes with passion. "You're not just an actress, you're a force for change," Kelly enthused, prompting applause that rippled through the studio like waves on a shore. Sandra reciprocated, gushing over Kelly's vocal prowess and her unapologetic embrace of body positivity, calling her the voice that reminds us it's okay to belt out our truths. The chemistry was palpable, a rare alchemy of vulnerability and vitality that had social media abuzz even before the segment aired, tweets flying with hashtags like #QueenSandkel and #GirlPowerTalk. But as the clock ticked toward the halfway mark, Kelly, buoyed by the crowd's energy, decided to probe deeper into the film's undercurrents, drawing parallels to Sandra's real life. Speed bumps, a playful nod to her blockbuster past that landed with a thud. "You've dodged so many crashes in life, Sandra, literally and figuratively. What's the one detour you wish you'd taken sooner?" It was meant as levity, a bridge back to humor, but to Sandra, fresh from therapy sessions where she'd unpacked the wreckage of her private world, it felt like a demolition derby. Her jaw set, eyes narrowing just enough to betray the internal tempest. "Detours? Kelly, life's not a GPS you can reroute. Some paths are paved with loss that no map prepares you for." The audience murmured, a mix of empathy and unease as Kelly pressed on, her enthusiasm perhaps blinding her to the tightening noose of discomfort. With the studio lights feeling like interrogators' lamps, Sandra uncrossed her legs and leaned forward, her voice dropping to a measured timbre that commanded silence. "Real talk is mutual, Kelly. It's not one shovel digging while the other dodges the dirt." The audience, a sea of wide-eyed spectators, shifted uncomfortably in their seats, some clutching programs like lifelines, others live-tweeting the meltdown with frantic thumbs. Kelly, ever the performer, attempted to salvage with humor, her laugh a touch too bright. "Ouch, girl! You're right, I'm the one who usually gets called out for oversharing. Remember that time I cried over pancakes on national TV?" Scattered chuckles broke the ice, but Sandra wasn't buying the deflection. Her eyes, those deep pools of quiet intensity, locked onto Kelly's with an unflinching gaze honed from years of on-screen confrontations. "This isn't about your pancakes, Kelly. It's about consent. I came here to celebrate life after loss, not to autopsy it for applause." The words landed like a gavel, echoing the frustrations of countless women in Hollywood who'd smiled through invasions of privacy, from unauthorized biopics to leaked therapy notes. Kelly, sensing the pivot to something larger, softened her posture, her shoulders slumping in genuine remorse. Sandra, I hear you. Truly. My intention was to honor your strength, not to wound it. But apologies in the moment, under the unblinking eye of cameras, often fuel the fire rather than douse it. Sandra rose slightly from the couch, her blazer creasing with emotion, as if the fabric itself protested the constraint. Honor? By airing my scars without a safety net? I've spent years building walls to protect my kids from this circus, and one slip-up tears them down. The reference to her children, Louis, now a teenager navigating high school with the shadow of fame, and Layla, her spirited daughter whose laughter was Sandra's daily salvation, infused the air with maternal ferocity. The impasse held for what felt like an eternity but was mere seconds on the ticking clock of broadcast standards, the director's prompts growing frantic in Kelly's ear. Wrap it now! Yet Kelly, true to her roots as a survivor of American Idol scrutiny, refused to let the segment crumble into canned apologies. Sandra, you're right. I've crossed a line, and I'm sorry. But walking away? That's not us. That's not the women who've clawed our way through this business. Her plea carried the weight of shared battles, the casting couch whispers, the typecasting traps, the relentless body shaming that both had endured with gritted teeth and forced smiles. Sandra paused, her silhouette framed against the vibrant backdrop of sunflowers and abstract swirls, symbols of growth now mocking the wilted trust. Memories flooded her, the crash, Oscar win tainted by racial controversy debates, the Bird Box, blindfold challenge that masked deeper isolation, the quiet nights post-Brian where she'd stare at the ceiling, willing the ache to subside. Clawed our way? Kelly, you've got a platform that amplifies every whisper into a roar. Mine? It's selective silence, because one crack and the floodgates open. The audience, divided now, some cheering Sandra's stand, others murmuring support for Kelly's vulnerability, created a cacophony of divided loyalties, a microcosm of fandom's fickle heart. A young woman in the front row, tears streaming, called out, "We love you both, don't let this break you." It was a lifeline, raw and real, piercing the performative bubble. Sandra's resolve softened infinitesimally, her gaze sweeping the crowd, connecting with faces that mirrored her own hidden hurts. In the aftermath, as the studio lights dimmed and the audience filed out buzzing with dissected drama, Sandra retreated to her dressing room, the door clicking shut like a vow of solitude. She sank into the vanity chair, staring at her reflection, eyes rimmed red, lipstick slightly smudged from the emotional marathon, wondering if vulnerability was a currency she could afford anymore. Her phone lit up with texts, from her publicist urging spin control, from close friend George Clooney checking in with a voice note laced with brotherly concern. "You okay, kid?" That was intense. Even Cate Blanchett chimed in, a simple emoji heart followed by, "Strength, sister." The industry's grapevine was already aflame, insiders leaking tidbits to Variety and TMZ, framing the near walk-off as the most authentic TV clash since Streep vs. De Niro rumors. Sandra scrolled through early clips circulating on TikTok, edits splicing her steely retorts with Kelly's teary pleas, set to dramatic swells of Titanic, violins, fodder for a million reaction videos. She chuckled bitterly, recognizing the irony. In defending her privacy, she'd handed the public a spectacle. Meanwhile, across the hall, Kelly debriefed with her team, her laughter masking the sting. "Phew, that could have gone south fast," she admitted to her co-executive producer, a longtime collaborator who'd seen her navigate worse storms. "But damn, Sandra's got backbone. Reminds me why I love this job, the unpredictability." Her mind raced to the post-show fallout. Would fans side-eye her probing style, or hail it as bold journalism? Kelly fired off an Instagram story, a candid selfie with the caption, "Grateful for real convos, even the tough ones. Shout out to Sandra Bullock, you're a legend. Let's talk boundaries over tacos soon, red heart." It was classic Kelly, owning the mess while extending grace, garnering likes by the thousands within minutes.